Welcome to Astro Weekly for the week of November 11th until November 17th. I hope you like this effect. It's a little bit freaky and kind of frightening. I hope this week is not that, but it could be, as we are going to have a massive, electrifying full moon in Taurus on Friday. But first, we start, of course, the week on Monday with Venus entering Capricorn. Here she becomes very serious, and as she governs finances, self-worth, beauty, and relationships, things get a little bit more conservative. Things get more serious. They have to stand the test of time. We are looking at the longer picture, and that is why frugality comes into mind more. We want to preserve our finances. We want to think about long-term effects. We do not want to, make impulsive purchases. And with Venus being in Capricorn, you might even dress more conservative without noticing. More sober energy, but also regarding, as I said, finances, and more like almost a pessimistic, realistic view on relationships, on our self-worth. And I think this is quite enhanced by immediately making a T-square to the nodes. And so there is like a destined move, a push to consider all of these things into our life goals. And so more focus, more seriousness, more responsibility is demanded regarding our finances, regarding our life goals, to be really serious about the direction we want to move in. Cardinal signs are very much about direction. They are the north, east, west, south signs, so they are the navigational signs. And so with the north node, of course, being in Aries, this is about leadership, this is about self-prioritization, and Venus, our planet of love, relationships, money, self-worth, is focusing on how to bring that more into our lives, to question what success is, to question what leadership is, and to be really focused and devoted to your goals, and to really consider the long-term effects of everything, of every decision that you're making. So on Monday, it might really feel like, that there's a great importance to what you're doing, that the time is now, and, these are active signs as well. So you might really get a nudge to really be active. On Tuesday, our planet Mercury, ruling our mind, communications, information, right, is squaring with Saturn in Pisces. Now, this can be misinformation, this can be missing information, like lost in translation, like we don't understand each other, like there are details that we are overlooking. So we want to be careful. And there's a clear demand for focus from, this whole week, I'd say. And, a seriousness and the responsibilities heightened with this Saturn, right? But we can really experience blocks to our communication somehow. Either people not understanding, or writing the wrong words, or, wanting to express yourself in a certain way and just not being understood, or making mistakes. Thursday and Friday, related to this full moon in Taurus, Saturn is going direct, and so Saturn has a huge momentum around these dates, and so during that full moon as well. Saturn is a planet of the lessons we need to learn, potentially karmic lessons, and it's very much about that seriousness, about taking responsibilities. It's about devotion. What do you want to focus on? And, you know, achievement, success, legacy. And it has to be very authentic. That is what ultimately is the demand of Saturn. So it's very much about self-integrity and self-respect, as well as the respect for others. And so when there's a momentum of Saturn, it can either express as, you know, huge blocks and hurdles and difficulties, but also perhaps like maybe you're feeling that you are on that legacy path, like you're feeling what what you want to devote yourself to, what you want to achieve, and what kind of success you want to move forward with. So you might also feel more like there's a purpose again. And on Friday, we have this massive full moon in Taurus. Of course, I made a separate video, and there's a link below this one to fully get into that. What's really important about that is that it's conjunct, right together, smashed together with the planet Uranus. And Uranus is you know, is ready to cause chaos, is ready for upheaval, is ready for a revolution, you know, disruptions, as it is ruling electricity, technology, you know, anything digitalism. We can experience problems or like high voltage, sparkling energy in these fields. Also, it rules awakening. So suddenly we are realizing massive things in the Taurus field, and that is either finances, so be ready for massive changes or disruptions or just sudden ups or downs in the financial sector. But also, yeah, maybe for some it could be relationships, or at least your values, awakening to what is really important to you, what is essential for you, awakening to perhaps issues or the importance of survival and what is needed, or the importance of Mother Earth and all that's around it. This can also be earthquake energy, or just very, yeah, difficult time for natural energies, potential for maybe like explosions and stuff as well. So it is slightly, because of that closeness with Uranus, it might be a bit difficult. And so there is that a bit of danger in the air, and you might want to be careful with movement, because Uranus is also about that suddenness, surprises, something coming out of nowhere. And Taurus is a very bodily sign, so it's very much about being in the body, embodying, and Uranus is frequencies and vibrations. So there's just a high voltage, which is very heavy on the body, and so you need to find ways of comfort and relaxation, which could be very difficult. Anxiety can also be really high. Panicky vibes can be really high as well. And I guess what I kind of forgot to mention in the other, you know, in my full moon video, is that it is very close to the fixed star Algol, which is related to the whole Medusa story, as that is the decapitated head of Medusa that Perseus is holding in the constellation. Algol, the fixed star, is generally seen as a very difficult fixed star. So the proximity to that could also cause, yeah, a lot of disruptions, and it could be female related, as that is the Medusa story. Or like, you know, off with the head kind of energy. Is there like an end to some leadership, or, you know, be careful about abusive energies. And if you want to know more about that, I'll also link the Algol Medusa video that I made below, so you can have an idea about potentially the vibes around this full moon. And of course, if you have anything around 24 degrees of Taurus, this affects you personally. So give and take 2 degrees below and after 24. So like 20-ish, 21 degree of Taurus up until 27 degrees of Taurus is affected, as well as 24 degrees, around 24 degrees of Aquarius. Leo, Scorpio is also affected. There is a revelation, there is a completion, and there is a bit of a havoc energy. Big changes are coming, and that is very much related to next week when Pluto moves into Aquarius, which is what Uranus, this full moon rules. So I do see a huge connection and a relation between these two. We are in massive changes, times of change, and seriously, and you know, this is the time. We are embarking on massive changes from now until whole of 2025, whole of 2026, up until 2027. We are in a very revolting energy. So revolutions, big changes, complete teardowns of things we've known to be true and working, and you know, it's gonna change everything about our reality and experiences. So yeah, it's not easy. Uranus can really make you break down, ultimately to break through, but according to where you are in your awakening process, it will feel like a breakdown or like a breakthrough or somewhere in the middle or a mix. But Uranus really changes how you see things. So it demands a higher perspective and consciousness that, you know, you start, because it's an outer planet, so you start to see the interconnectedness of things and how one choice has a huge effect on another experience, and how, you know, we are all connected. And, you know, it's that Aquarius vibe, right? So we are catapulted into the interconnectedness of everything, and so we are coming to understand frequencies and vibrations, you know, the whole quantum science. And so not everybody's ready, or not everybody's at that point. And so for them, this will be a breakdown. And sometimes, you know, that's not a bad thing if it opens your eyes, which is Uranian. You know, it's awakening, a revelation, a confrontation to something that has to be seen, has to be witnessed, has to be processed, so that we move into a different perspective. And so we find ourselves then, I'd say, on Sunday, which is kind of a key day as well. The sun is opposite this Uranus again. So obviously that full moon that occurs on Friday is like on turbo level on Sunday. So we could call this entire week, you know, the full moon in Taurus / Uranian week. Full moons always work prior, so days before we will feel the effect. Basically all this week we will be in this vibe. And as I said, Uranus is about change and disruptions and chaos. Be ready, because that is what's going on. Full moons, as I said, are revelations, confrontations, things coming to light, which can be discomforting, which can be like you're being pushed and pulled between different directions. And so, yeah, that's the whole weekend is very, you know, that energy is very high. The energy overall is very high. And so this can induce anxiety and panic and all of that, right? So, interestingly, when that happens on Sunday, meanwhile, we're still in a Pluto opposite Mars energy as well. So we have Sun opposite Uranus at 25 degrees on Sunday, but we also have Pluto at the end of Capricorn, opposite Mars at 3 degrees of Leo. And so two oppositions in this case is making a cross like this. So it creates a mystical rectangle, but also it's making 2 sextiles and 2 trines. So the two oppositions are causing a lot of pressure and a push-pull and conflict and being like versus this versus that, right? being pulled in two directions. But the way it is made, because of the sextiles and the trines, it's also really intertwined, these two oppositions, so they're helping each other to process. So you know, there is some odd magic in the air because of this, and it really is a very active time. It's about powerful changes and massive awakenings. So I'd say from this week until next week, I would not be surprised if all of us, the collective, you know, and that is you personally, comes into realizations, understanding, concepts and ideas that are out of this world, because that's Uranian, that is so fast forward. We're awakening to DNA codes and vibrations we did not have access before. So this week and next week, you might almost want to write down what you're thinking, what sudden knowledge you have, because this is high intelligence energy. We are coming to truths about reality, or what we have known to be reality that is not. All of these things might be very confusing and very difficult to process with what you have thought reality to be until now. And so we're coming into very important upgrades this week and next week. It's high. That's because of this mystical rectangle as well, between, again, the sun, right? Pluto, Uranus, and Mars. So it becomes stronger, this mystical rectangle, even next week when Pluto moves into Aquarius, and ultimately the sun eventually into Sagittarius, and this still continues. So November 19th, when Pluto moves into Aquarius, and then November 20th, 21st, and 22nd, this is still at play. So basically next week, okay? Yeah, so I hope we're ready for these massive awakenings, massive upgrades, and massive breakthroughs if you're letting it be so. And if it's a breakdown, just know that it's completely divinely planned and the timing is perfect. And, you know, it's of course means that we are in the last week of Pluto being in Capricorn, and we end the week with Pluto being at 29 degrees and 58 minutes of Capricorn. So, you know, it's still demolition time, and that's why there ought to be astrologically a lot of breakdowns, okay? It's part of the process. And so we have 2 minutes left of Pluto in Capricorn after this week, and also exactly 2 days. So we are wrapping up the old, the dead, the gone. And so we need to let go, and it's time to move on. It's time to move forward, and it requires change, upgrades. And as I said, it will not be easy for everybody. You know, perhaps related, I don't know, is another opposition of Jupiter retrograde in Gemini opposite Mercury, both at 18 degrees on Sunday. Mercury is in Sag, of course. So here we find a clash of opinions, a clash of information. And, you know, it's the energy of student versus teacher. Where are you standing, and how are these topics changing within yourself? You know, and what side are you on? What side are you pulled to? It's also gossip versus life philosophy, or should we say, you know, gossip versus ethics, superficiality versus ethics, or mind versus spirit, or near versus far. These topics might come up with this opposition. Interestingly, this opposition is softened by Chiron in Aries that Jupiter has been working with for quite some time. And that is really healing our confidence, healing our self-esteem, healing our inner warrior, our inner leader, our inner fighter. And so it really helps our mental health, our physical health, and just being more strongly standing in who we are as our core understanding of ourselves, which is, you know, the core to everything else. Yeah, I hope we come into a healthy confidence with this. Interesting week, powerful week, very dynamic week, and we're in the midst of massive changes. So take care, be kind to yourself, be very kind to your body, who has to undergo all of this, and, you know, find comfort and nourishment where you can, and go a little slower where you can. I hope we have a good week. Let's track all the changes, and let me know if there is anything related to this astrology that we need to know. So take care, and I'll see you in the next Astro Weekly. Bye.